I'd like to. Oh. Okay, I'd like to call to order the July 22nd, 2025 special meeting of the South Burlington School Board. The first item on the agenda is a projected executive session to discuss employment of a public officer and to receive confidential attorney-client communication for the purpose of providing legal services to the board. So do I have to do the two steps since it's not real estate?
You should state. I think for small boards, perhaps just.
And also the two step?
That's
Okay,
small boards.
so the only people going into executive session will be the school board and our legal counsel. And so I would entertain a motion to find that premature public knowledge of the topics under discussion would put the school district at a significant disadvantage. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have any discussion? All those in favor?
Right.
And then I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session to discuss employment of a public officer and to receive confidential attorney-client communications for the purpose of providing legal services to the board.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we'll adjourn this meeting and we will. So I'd like to call the July 22nd, 2025 meeting of the South Burlington School Board back to open session. We just completed an executive session. So the first item is announcements and amendments to the agenda. Does anybody have any announcements? So I would entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add an action item regarding the superintendent's employment.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is amended to add a discussion item, an action item regarding the superintendent's employment, and we will do that as the first discussion item. So that will be before the school board vacancy discussion. Does anybody have any more announcements or amendments?
No.
So now we'll move on to the next section, which is comments from the public.
Hi, I'm Kristen Roman. I'm the Executive Director of Educational Support Systems for the South Burlington School District, and I just wanted to share something with you tonight. So this is to the South Burlington School Board. Violet's leadership in the South Burlington School District has consistently demonstrated deep knowledge, steady guidance, and a commitment to both the present and future of public education. Her work reflects not just responsiveness, but a strategic vision that has significantly shaped our community. From the beginning of her time in South Burlington as Executive Director of Learning, Violet has shown unwavering dedication to the educational excellence and equity. Her efforts strengthened our systems of instruction, student support, and professional development. Notably, when first hired, she effectively fulfilled the dual roles of Executive Director of Learning and Interim Superintendent when she was first hired as Interim Superintendent and Intendant, a testament to her dedication and expertise. When she stepped up as interim superintendent during a time of significant transition and uncertainty, she brought calm, confidence, and a deep understanding of our district's needs. Amid the pandemic and the departure of key administrators, she immediately shouldered immense responsibilities with grace and clarity. Since formally becoming superintendent, Violet has continued to lead with vision, thoughtfulness, and resilience. Some of her notable accomplishments include, but are not limited to, proactively responding to critical departures, both when she first started and throughout her tenure, ensuring the stability and continuity of district operations, guiding the district with strength and compassion through the pandemic and ongoing endemic challenges, securing zero emission modulars, buildings to support our elementary overflow, and pioneering green transportation with the purchase of our first electric school bus. Obtaining impact fees to support long-term infrastructure needs and help ease the taxpayer burden, designing and implementing an entirely new in-district educational program for previously outplaced students, ensuring access to high-quality individualized education here in South Burlington, regardless of program closures. Leading strategic efforts to mitigate staffing shortages, space constraints, and transitions in leaderships. Navigating some of the most challenging budget seasons education has faced. Advocating effectively with local lawmakers to prioritize education funding while ensuring families in South Burlington can afford to live in our community. Supporting the school board through multiple periods of board turnover, consistently sharing her in-depth knowledge of the district policy governance and effective leadership practices to ensure continuity and stability during times of change. Violet holds 2 master's degrees, both in education. Her career has encompassed roles as a teacher, math coach, director of learning, interim superintendent, giving her a comprehensive and nuanced understanding of our educational system. Many may not fully appreciate the scope of a superintendent's role. In addition to being the district's chief executive officer and the primary advisor to the school board, Violet's responsibilities span educational leadership, financial management, staffing compliance, supervision of curriculum and development, educational programming. She is deeply committed to district-wide equity initiatives, monitors student outcomes, provides professional development opportunities, and serves as a liaison to federal and state agencies. She also ensures that all operational systems and departments work in harmony to ensure our student success. Furthermore, Violet is responsible for maintaining fiscal integrity, managing accurate and compliant records, overseeing property and contracts, making strategic personnel recommendations. She represents our district regionally and statewide. She pursues partnerships for additional funding and leads with accountability and high decisions, and high standards, Despite managing this vast and complex role, she constantly makes decisions grounded in the best interest of our students. While some school community members understandably wish to see her more frequently in individual buildings, it's important to recognize that Violet's impact is district-wide and foundational. She supports every building and department, not only through physical presence, but primarily through the systems she enhances and the leaders she empowers. Her day-to-day work requires a careful balance of problem-solving, strategic vision, and high-level oversight that benefits all students and staff. Violet's leadership has been vital in countless ways, laying a strong and sustainable foundation for the future of the South Burlington schools. She leads not for recognition, but for the success and well-being of every student, staff member, and family in our community. We are truly fortunate to have her at the helm. Thank you.
Hey, guys. Hi, good morning. I'm about 2 minutes, Laura, so pretty good. It's been almost 3 years since I started attending board meetings as a community member and then as a member of the board. I started this journey just to get out of the house, to meet some people, and to learn a little bit more about how school budgets work. I certainly got out of the house. I've learned a lot about public education, and above all, I've met many incredible people along the way, from my fellow board members to many of our amazing district staff, to the people in our community whom I otherwise never would have known. Out of all the people I've met, I'm most appreciative of the opportunity I've had to work alongside our superintendent, Violet Nichols. I view Violet as the consummate professional. I've had a bit of a unique perspective as a board member to see her in the service of our district. I've watched her implement many positive changes that I believe we sorely needed, oversee the successful adoption of our budgets in uniquely challenging times, and handle a myriad of issues that would have led me to quit the job after day one. I know how many hours she sacrificed with her own family to support ours. I've watched her politely respond to criticisms that would have withered most of us. And I've seen her make unpopular decisions because they were in the best interests of their students and of those who are least among us. Along the way, I've learned that if you think you know how public education works, you probably still have a bit to learn. It's why we need people like Superintendent Nichols and their knowledge of public education to ensure the continued success of our district. I want to personally thank her for her dedication to the South Burlington School District and for her many achievements on our behalf. The part of my journey as a board member has ended, but I look forward to supporting our district as we move forward. Our community faces one of our most challenging budget cycles yet, with impending program losses and staff disruption, as well as a seismic change in the education landscape itself. Finally, I'm hopeful our school board and whoever fills its vacancies will rise to the occasion and make the difficult choices ahead it must. I have not agreed and probably will not agree with many of this board's decisions, but I'm confident this board has and will keep the best interests of the student as its primary focus. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nicole Carter, Director, Executive Director, Learning. The district received a letter today from Randall, I might mispronounce his name, I don't know him, Randall Blanchett. And so I'm going to read it. Randall Blanchett of Shelburne.
Which just medium, sorry, but that mic is kind of on the fritz. so-
Yes, of course.
Yes, apologies.
This is a letter from Randall Blanchett of Shelburne, received by the district today. Randall Blanchett of Shelburne would like this read on his behalf as he was unable to attend the special meeting with 1 day's notice. I believe it is important to take this opportunity to highlight a few of the things the superintendent has accomplished, as this board has only taken the time to focus on what they feel is important, which seems to be damaging the superintendent's reputation and career. I've seen comments about how the superintendent was inexperienced when she took this role, but her public resume shows nearly 20 years of experience, certificates from Harvard Business School, multiple master's degrees, and holding nearly all positions within a school district. I would argue she has a wealth of experience as evidenced by what she was able to accomplish with an ever-changing school board. Opened an alternative program, deployed electric buses, addressed over-enrollment, and improved school safety. I'd like to switch my focus now to the board. Prior to getting elected to the school board, I have seen a coordinated approach to remove the superintendent from her position. I have seen no support and/or collaboration for or with the superintendent that male superintendents have gotten in the past, with many monitoring reports out of compliance. You're fixated on removing the superintendent from her role before school starts. I believe this is because you have already teed up a replacement. Tim Warren, who was a highly respected board member with the longest tenure of the group, resigned last Friday based on the actions of the board members that remain. The community lost a great school advocate in Tim, and unfortunately are left with a handful of junior board members who don't put students first, rather their own agendas to terminate the superintendent. I call for all of your resignations and for a new school board, one that is ethical and values student education, to be put in place. Lastly, to the SBEA, you have far exceeded your First Amendment rights with your personal attacks on the superintendent. To the parents of South Burlington students, the cruel and dishonest accusations made by those who teach your kids should make you extremely concerned. In these times, it is critical to surround our children with kind, ethical, and honest role models. Through all of this, the superintendent has continued to work in support of students, displayed fortitude, competence, and stability, while the board and SBEA have dragged her and the district's reputation through the mud. I am very concerned about the district's future based on the discriminatory and above the law behavior this board has shown. Randall Blanchett of Shelburne.
I'd like to start my comment by quoting from an article in the other paper. Quote, because the board is committed to working collaboratively to uphold South Burlington's proud tradition of educational excellence, our role is to help facilitate the following actions. 1, revising and refreshing the policies by which we govern, including consistent guidelines for how the community can provide feedback. Another action is improving outreach to the community. The article then goes on to say, we encourage all community members to get involved, attend school board meetings, and have your voice heard. End quote. This is from an article in May that was authored by 3 of the school board members here. And the article is titled, School Board Members Commit to Transparency. Holding a meeting with 1 day's notice is not transparent. Multiple special meetings in 1 month, historically the quietest month of the school year, is not transparent. Coming into meetings with preconceived conversations and meeting outside of the open meeting law is not transparent. Taking actions on items that were not warned on agendas is not transparent. Having multiple executive sessions above and beyond what is necessary is not transparent. And not following governance procedures, approving policies without the statutory required 3 public readings is not transparent. Blatantly regarding open meeting law is not transparent. And coercing our superintendent to follow what you say instead of the district's own policies and procedures and pressuring her to resign is not transparent. If a former board member and the former chair of this board cannot follow the chaotic and dismissive schedule that you've set for yourselves in this month, then you are not following the law and you are not following the own ethical standards that you've set for yourself in May. Thank you.
Now, I hadn't planned to speak tonight, but I will since everybody chose to. Last time I spoke to you, I gave you 3-letter abbreviations, CPR and CPI. If you were in my class, I would test you to see if you remembered what they were, but I won't use my time doing it. I'm gonna use 4-letter words today, data, DATA. That's my bread and butter. On the 2024 standardized tests that all students in the state of Vermont took, VTE CAP, the scoring of South Burlington students in science, 5th, 8th, and 11th grade were 41 to 46% scored below proficient. In English language arts, the highest grade tested was grade 9, 45% of students scored below proficient. On 8th and 9th grade math, the 2 highest grades tested, 50 and 48% of students scored below proficient. That, dear members of the school board, is your #1 problem. Why are students not performing well on standardized tests? Are standardized tests valuable? Everybody in this country will tell you letter grades have lost most of their value. They are useless today. Admissions university officers will tell you the first thing they look at are standardized tests for those schools which are still allowed because grade letters have been so inflated. So you have to look at standardized tests. Who writes the test in the state of Vermont? Cognia. Why was Cognia chosen by the state of Vermont? Because they were committed to DEI. I have no idea what DEI has to do with standardized tests, but the Vermont Agency of Education said, we're choosing Cognia because they're committed to DEI and we're committed to DEI, so they're gonna write our tests. How did they write their tests? They look at what students are supposed to be learning in the public schools, and then they write those tests. And then they get together and they assess those tests in terms of performance. I don't know why so many students are scoring at the below proficiency levels they're scoring, but that's your #1 problem. In America, public schools are failing their students. How do I know? Another 4-letter word, PISA, Program for International Student Assessment. It's an international test, 81 countries take it. The top 5 countries, you might want to write this down: Singapore, China, Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea. Where does the USA stand? In reading, science, and math, 6, 10, and 26 in math. That's how we stand. Far and away, we spend the most money on education, and we don't score in the top 5. Why is that? You should listen to me because I taught at the university. I taught thousands of students, and I can tell you what many university faculty will tell you. Thousands of students are arriving at universities unprepared to do college level work. Public schools are not doing what they need to do for students. Now, I've told you before, 2 things are required for education to succeed. 1, students must be capable, they must be paired, and they must be interested in learning. And 2, teachers must be content experts, they may be skilled in pedagogy, and they be able to establish a rapport with students. If either one of those fails, learning will fail. I can't tell you how many students are prepared or not prepared to learn in South Burlington Public Schools, but I can tell you there's a problem based upon those results of the standardized tests. And if you don't deal with this head on, then you're not serving the community of South Burlington to the degree that you should be. Thank you.
Hi, Chelsea Tillinghast, former board member and board chair. Probably not the best person to go last because my thoughts are not eloquent or well organized, but I just want to clearly state that as a former board member and the former board chair, this board is purposefully colluding with members of staff to fire the superintendent. I've sat in meetings where former board member Lauren and myself advised the board on the standard they are meant to make decisions and listen to you postulate about what decisions would buy you the most political capital. I've since learned that board members were keeping information secret from the full team, violating open meeting law, meeting with staff without authorization, and making any credibility that these recent decisions against the superintendent are anything less than collusion laughable. Further, this board's behavior at the July 7th meeting was extremely concerning and also should be an excellent reality check for the community about your blatant lack of respect for the law and the integrity of procedure. At this time, the board's most important work should be advocating with our legislators on behalf of our students, and instead you're concentrating on everything but and demonstrating no awareness of how your decisions are going to be costly for our students, staff, and community. I have a lot written about the importance of policy and governance, but I just felt as I sat on this board and was a part of this team, I didn't resign for personal reasons. I resigned because I'm moving away. But I just feel like this is an overreaction to the lack of nuance or skill that myself and former board members had in communicating as a team, communicating with the community about what we were actually doing, what we were actually accomplishing. But I never met with staff. I never kept secrets from the team. I never yelled, raised my voice, or swore at anyone. And I really do think that you all have the district's heart somewhere, but you're just really distracted and confused and you care way too much about what your friends think. And I would just beg you to remember who you're serving. And if you're using your position of power to protect your friends, I think that's unacceptable.
Bridget Burkhart, former school board member, former school board chair. I want to say that I've watched a lot of hours of board meetings over the last few days. And I just want to say that this board's interactions with the superintendent have been extremely unprofessional. And regardless of how you feel about her performance, which I tend to agree with Kristen Roman's assessment that she has done a really solid job in a very challenging time. But regardless of how you feel about her performance, the way she has been treated in public meetings and outside of public meetings is not appropriate. And I don't think that it builds a collaborative culture. There needs to be, for this district to move forward and to face the challenges it's gonna face, there needs to be collaboration between the board and the superintendent. We need to be moving in the same direction. And you need to be able to show that for anyone who comes into this district and comes into this very challenging role, that there is gonna be a board that they can work with. And that doesn't mean you have to agree. You can definitely have disagreements. We had, David Young and I had disagreement after disagreement after disagreement in public all the time, but we were professional with each other and respectful. And I would hope that there could be a little bit of self-examination of the board and moving forward, a little bit more professionalism. Second, transparency should be the guiding principle with how you interact with the community. I would just echo what Kate said about so many special meetings, which should be exceptions, changes to action items on the agenda, not just agenda items for discussion, but actual action items and changes to policy consistently happening in the middle of meetings and then being taken action on. Cancellations of regular meetings, so the public doesn't know when to show up or where to make themselves heard and to interact with the board. hybrid meetings that are unclear about how comments can be entered into the record. All of these things, damage transparency. I'd also like to point out that Act 133 from the legislature, the year before I joined the legislature, says that the head of any body like this must go through open meeting law training. It's very clear in watching, especially the July 7th meeting, that either that has not happened or additional training needs to happen. I would also highly encourage policy governance training for the whole board, either done through the VSBA or through someone who has a lot of experience with policy governance. Open meeting law and policy governance are not just red tape to be busted through. They are guiding principles that make sure everyone knows what their job is and that the lanes are clear between operations and board. And I just want to close by saying that there are real challenges ahead, particularly with regard to budget and changes that are coming from the state level. And I really haven't seen those things come up. There's been a lot of discussion about other things that I don't feel are benefiting students, staff, community members. With the exception of the appointment of Moment as our new student representative, nothing I've seen in these last few meetings really gives me a lot of hope. And I am hopeful that there's time to make some changes. And I hope that with appointments to fill the vacancies that are now on the board, that we can start to build a more collaborative culture and a more respectful culture amongst board members and with the staff of the district and the board. Thank you.
Is there anybody online who wants to say anything?
Seamus, is now a good time for me to ask a question if it doesn't fit any subjects?
You can give a comment, but we
Okay.
can't respond to it.
Okay.
Would you like to?
I can give a comment, it's kind of a question too, but I know you're not allowed to respond to it. I wanted to clarify where the information about special meetings that are called is posted for the community to see. Like, is there a more streamlined way that we can get that information out regarding special meetings? Cause I know, like, me and Momen didn't really get communication about a couple of the meetings until Violet emailed us last night about this one. Or even this morning, and I think it's just important that the public and us as student representatives have access to attending.
Okay.
CTI was first.
Could we, hear from CT iPad?
Hi, Chris Trombley here. I just wanted to make just a brief statement. I was kind of caught off guard with the quick special meeting. I just two points I just wanted to make. Well, I guess let me clarify. South Burlington resident. I'm on the budget advisory committee that's in process. Got some exciting stuff coming your way. I think you'll be excited to see some of the stuff that's coming. And I had the pleasure of serving on the school board for just about a year. 2 points I wanted to make. The first was that the superintendent, Nichols, rock star. She is a real rock star. South Burlington's lucky to have her. I understand that there's been some discussion going on. I was just surprised. I guess the second point is I was surprised to see that the special meeting was called and there's possible action to be taken. And there's 2 vacancies on the board right now. It doesn't fit well that action would be taken with 2 vacancies on the board. Not questioning the board's decision-making process, is just whatever decisions would be made. It doesn't seem right having those made with 2 vacancies at the time. So I just wanted to share that, and maybe the board consider that for the future. Thank you.
And could we recognize Diana Bugby?
Can you hear me now? Sorry. Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't pull that over there.
Okay. So, hi, Diane Bugby, and I just want to say, as I share some thoughts with you tonight, it's because I want you to succeed and I want the district to succeed, and I'm grateful for your service. It's a hard spot to be in. I happen to have Monday, July 7th off as a vacation day, so I thought I would tune into the school board meeting. I was very concerned. It was a hard meeting to bear witness to. The district superintendent, as well as the board member Warren, attempted to provide guidance to you all around policy governance, open meeting law, and the requirements of an active contract in place. This expertise was seemingly discounted. For example, in reference to the open meeting law, it was referred to as bureaucratic red tape that the public was tired of. And as a member of the public on that day, I was prevented from speaking. I don't want you to flout open meeting law as though it's a nuisance and that you would deal with an open meeting violation if it came up. I know you thought your intentions are good. You talked about various topics, but there is a process to follow in terms of meeting warnings and readings. Good intentions are not enough. As a new board, you don't know what you don't know. And I believe you need to have humility to listen to your experienced colleagues. Now, Tim Warren is stepping down, and that's concerning to me, as is the ongoing turnover of the board. I'm concerned that newness and experience as a board without clear direction is going to put the school district at risk for educational, financial, legal, and/or reputational jeopardy. I ask that with humility, you seek counsel and training and develop an actionable plan to chart a course for the district, and that you act in ways that repair and prevent harm to the district. Thank you.
I would like to respond to a public comment, if I may.
So you're making it public.
Yes,
In a sense, you're making it public. I just don't want to make, because we don't respond, but.
yes.
Do you want to go over? Sit here.
Here, thank you. Could I please invite, retired, Senior Director of HR, Karen Dancher, and current HR Director, Daisy Brayton, for a point of, clarification?
I'm sorry, are you gonna be asking them a question, or do they already have their public comments prepared?
This is regarding the public comment of a community member, and it is, I'm asking them for public comment.
I know what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay, all right, I understand. I thought you were asking like a question that they didn't know about. Okay, I understand. So
This is-
the Daisy's making a
Yeah.
public comment. Okay, thanks.
So, community member,
But one
posed,
second.
if I may.
Would you mind not asking an active question to make a statement?
Sure.
Thank you.
Please verify if there have been any grievances regarding my position, or if there have been any, valid or reported concerns of retaliation. This is referencing Mr. Walsh's article. And
So there was a article from Mr. Walsh in the other paper. The majority of the questions were geared towards the union. However, the first two questions were specifically about, have there been any grievances against the superintendent? And has there been retaliation towards teachers from the superintendent? Both of those, there have been no grievances filed against the superintendent. And therefore, there have been no grievances filed against the superintendent for retaliation. There have been absolutely none. And I should say, this is the last year. I have been here since March. And I don't know if my predecessor wants to talk about before that, but
I can say no.
Does my, yeah, can you confirm or please confirm, I'll make
I'm
a
still concerned
statement.
about the framing of this. If, could we keep like any public comment that you would like to make, I would like you to make it, but since it's not a warrant agenda item, I don't want to allow us to control.
Sure.
what
So
needs to be.
I was going to make a comment in that I was going to respond to the other paper, and document those answers. However, I have not done that yet, so, I also very much believe that as the HR director, I should not be doing that without forewarning the board. But I haven't done it yet, and, that is the plan. Thank you.
Karen Answer, the former HR director. I have no recollection of any grievances that have been filed against Violet, in past. Since, I'll just.
Lisa Randall, I work at one of the elementary schools. I just want to say that I think all of us need to slow down to go fast. I appreciate everything that the board does, but I've been witnessing things that, we would never allow children to do. The level of unkindness at our school, it's be kind, be responsible, be safe. I haven't seen any of that going on here. We need to be kind to each other. I know it sounds Pollyannish, but it's true. We need to be safe with our words and our deeds. And we need to be responsible with what we are doing. Please, I beg of you all, take a step back, go slow to go fast, and we can all do this together.
Did we have anybody else online that raised their hand? Is there anybody else in the room who'd like to make a public comment? Okay, so, then we will move on to discussion items. And as amended, the first item is regarding superintendent's deployment. And I would like to read a short statement. The superintendent resigned on July 17th, 2025. Her contract includes a 90-day notice period. However, in consultation with the superintendent's council, we have agreed on a last day of active employment of August 1st, 2025. And we thank her for her years of service to the district.
Thank you. It is with a heavy heart, but with clarity and with conviction that I announce my resignation as superintendent of the South Burlington School District. Serving this district has been the single greatest honor and professional challenge of my career. It was a privilege to show up every day and to lead this district with professionalism and with purpose. I am proud of the transformational work that we have accomplished. During my tenure, we addressed critical enrollment challenges by installing zero energy modulars. We brought an end to the district's transportation crisis. We implemented a new literacy and math programming using brain-based and researched materials. We passed a $14.5 million bond. We've upgraded our facilities, and that includes everything from roofs to heat pumps to the newly paved middle and high school parking lot that many of us saw on the way in. We opened a therapeutic alternative program. We expanded supports for multilingual learners. We implemented a fleet of e-buses, and we were featured in the New York Times. We strengthened our crisis response planning, digitized our financial and HR systems, and we improved and expanded district-wide communications.
I am especially proud of our fiscal management that allowed the successful passage of 3 of the largest balanced budgets in the state to pass. I'm proud of our collaborative work with the city, including the successful implementation of impact fees and school zones that now make it safer for our students, staff, and community members. To the educators, staff, students, and families of our district, thank you. Thank you. Your dedication and resilience have inspired me every day. I hope the next chapter for this district is one defined by respect, equity, and a shared commitment to the future of schools, but most of all, to the students that we serve. Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
So I would entertain a motion to approve August 1st, 2025 as the last day of active employment for Violet Nichols, and to authorize the school board chair to sign the agreement to that effect as discussed in executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye. And I think we should probably do a roll call just to, because we have one of our members is remote right now. Jen, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, so Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dan, how do you vote? Aye. Emily, how do you vote? Laura, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I also vote yes, so the motion passes. All right, the next discussion item is school board vacancy. I think that Laura and Jen had been working with the superintendent on informing the public about that. So Jen and Laura, do you have any updates on the school board vacancy?
I don't, I was actually on vacation, so I have not. So, a lot of what even was referenced here tonight. So that is something, I guess we can talk about putting them on the website and, I mean, all the things that we have to do. So there's now 2 vacancies.
Yeah, Jen, do you have any updates?
Yeah, so I had sent an email out, and I think it was June 30th, and was just asking, it seemed like the next step was for, I believe it was for Violet to post the dates for the school board vacancy timeline on social media. So it was going to go out on Front Page Forum, and I believe also be posted on the website. And I do not know what the status of that is. I believe I sent that email asking if that schedule was going to be finalized and posted. But what we have is that at our first meeting in August, again, it would depend. The Monday before the board meeting, we had applications were due to admin no later than 12 p.m. on Friday, August 1st. And again, this date may shift now because we have 2 vacancies. But the plan was that then at our first meeting in August, we would have interviews in open session, and we would have deliberation in executive session. And then we would be, again, back in open meeting at that first meeting in August, announcing the new director. And the second meeting in August, the new member would join. So that was the schedule that we had initially discussed. But again, I think that probably needs to shift. And I was hoping that's what we could do tonight, is land on that schedule and then ensure that that information is communicated effectively to the public so that we have those applications out there and people know what to do.
Yeah, thank you.
That
So
help?
the last communication that I received was that the dates would be discussed in a public timeline at the July 9th board meeting, but the board canceled that meeting.
Okay.
So there was no timeline for me. There was no timeline discussed with the community publicly, so which is the reason nothing was posted.
So I do think this is the appropriate time for the board to discuss that. Given my resignation, I think the board will have to play a more active role in, you know, finalizing that and, communicating that effort.
And will we be able to post to the school boards or to the school districts, social media once we have a date?
That, we have a district-wide communication plan, which, separates board communication from district communication. For a lot of reasons, that is best practice. I'm certainly willing to coordinate, up and, you know, until my final date of August 1st.
Okay.
In the past, we've done the other paper, haven't we?
Probably as many communications.
Well,
as
so-
possible.
The other paper and then the district, and you just have to do that within 30 days, but if you don't get any applications, you don't get any applications, you just keep, you know, keep telling people, so. I'm not gonna make an assumption that. I mean, yes, we could have the timeline of how this works, but understanding that may not get applications until further down the road.
Right,
I
so,
think it would be important for this, for the board to, on a regularly scheduled board meeting, discuss a timeline with the community, which is the single best advertisement you could have, and then state when applications are due, and then, you know, how folks can apply and what the deadline is. That's a process we've used in the past. You know, and then communicate on Front Porch Forum, and coordinate with whoever is acting CEO or however, I'm not sure the board's plans for that. I think that's the best approach. The feedback that I really heard loud and clear is that having conversations that are regarding significant issues of community engagement, such as selecting 2 board members on a special meeting, is not ample engagement. And so I would advise the board to put this on a regularly warned agenda to have, transparency and clarity around the process.
thank you. So it looks like in August, we have 2 regularly scheduled meetings on August 13th and the 20th. I might suggest that we, you know, immediately put out a notice of the vacancies on all the different, you know, forums that we have. We'd ask the district to put it on their Facebook. And then, you know, that's 3 weeks away, so, you know, we could, you know, do multiple rounds of communication before then. And then we could hold initial interviews on August 13th. That might be my suggestion, just because of how long it's been since we have had at least one of these vacancies. So how do people feel about trying to shoot for that?
I think we can advertise and then put it on the agenda for the 13th and say that, you know, and the due date could be. Wait, we have 2 meetings on the 13th and the 20th?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think maybe we put out, advertise it now and then have another discussion on the 13th. Because people might be re-engaging then, and then say applications are due on the, I don't know, let's say the 18th. And then interviews on the 20th. Because usually we do not meet like this. So.
Or I like that idea.
So we will warn it for discussion on the 13th. And then say that the selections will happen on the 20th.
Yeah, people get things.
So when would applications be due then?
The 20th, on the 18th.
So we have a chance to review them
They
before
can
the meeting.
review them.
Okay,
That way, if it's warned, people know that it's coming up, but then they can ask questions on the 13th. Questions or sessions, and then we can, make a decision.
I'm sorry, do we want to do the 18th or would we rather do like the 15th, which is a Friday? And then that gives the administrator the opportunity to pull things together and cascade it to the board so we have a chance to review it in advance.
I think giving people a weekend to get things done is a good idea. So, yeah, and we can, so on the meeting on the 13th, we can work through the questions we want to ask. Then we have a list of questions, we can just take a look at that. And so everybody knows what they are.
I would definitely advise against a 2-day window from announcing it at a board meeting to closing. You know, we filled a lot of vacancies and I mean, Laura, we've never done anything
No,
tighter
you
than
gotta
that,
give
a 2-week
people-
window.
You gotta give people time.
So is the 15th okay, or is that appropriate?
I'd say the 18th. Honestly, people get
No, for applications to come in. What's the date for the applications?
Monday, the 18th.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, between now and then also get all, like, get it on the website.
front page
So,
forum,
yeah, to-
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
we
yeah,
do
yeah.
that too. So.
And it's been in the news quite often.
Right.
So I think it's reasonable to expect people to, if they're interested in the vacancies, to have submitted something by August 18th. And August 13th will serve as a final reminder of the situation. So do we have any concerns about the phrasing of those statements that we want people to apply, or should we just leave that up to, you know, I can come up with something, or you guys
Any
have
questions
something?
for regarding the application process? That we have.
It's been done in the past, so.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the same questions.
I would say the same.
in the
Yeah,
past.
those are what I shared with you
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, we have
Right.
those, so I wouldn't. Reinvent those.
So, for example, something we could do right now is we could pull those up, review those together. But if we're reasonably confident
I
that,
think we could.
because what I don't wanna do is leave this meeting. Where we have not agreed on what we're going to send out.
Do we have access to that right now?
Jen, do you have access, or Laura, do you have
Yeah,
access?
we do, but isn't this, I thought we were gonna discuss this on the 13th. No, we want to do.
So the
now,
reason to do it now
13th?
is to give the community from the 22nd of July until the 13th to be informed about this. With the expectation that we would then want applications by the 18th. Because we'll tell, so I think it's important to know. And Jen, if you can find it,
I'm sorry, find what? The criteria grid template?
yes.
Yeah, I have it right now. I'm looking at it. Would you like me to, can I share my screen?
Yeah,
Sure. Let me see if I can share my screen. Hold on a second. Zoom, share my screen. Do you? Hold on a second. Make sure I'm in the right place. Okay. Yep. Okay. Share my screen. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
great. Did you maximize that?
Yeah, wait a minute. Let me minimize this and maximize this. And this is what Violet sent me on June 25th. This is the board candidate criteria grid template that she sent. And it's right here.
This is, okay. This is the like.
This is the template. This is the grid template that I have.
What's really important for people to know is what they have to actually do to apply. Are
This
those questions on there?
Yeah, this is what I have. This is what Violet had sent to me. South Burlington City Charter specifies that when a vacancy arises.
You have to zoom in. We can't see it. It's too small.
Okay, let's see if I can do that. Oh, nope, hold on a
If you
second.
click on the process doc that's hyperlinked in the first sentence of the second paragraph, you get that info.
Yeah, the updated process doc right here. That was the timeline, or that has the timeline matrix that was here. This is what I was reading to you. Oh, here's the press statement right here. And then here, add copy. So I'll forward this to you, but there's the press statement that's here. And then there's the add copy, South Burlington School District seeking a candidate, and we can
Where's that?
update it with the appropriate dates in here.
Yeah, I think we can.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think the important thing, if anybody wants to apply, and I was really not prepared to go into this, in fact, just going to discuss when. Anyway, I think people just need to know what 3 questions are going to be asked, so they can prepare.
And what are those 3 questions?
Off the top of my head, I just, again, I was not.
Here's the application. Here's the application right here.
I don't want, just want to say.
Yeah, no, there's no rush. There's no rush.
What interests you about becoming a school board member, and what strengths would you bring to the role? Question number 1. Number 2, please describe your previous experience and involvement with the South Burlington School Board and the district. And question number 3, what do you consider to be 3 of the most pressing issues facing public education in South Burlington? So those are the 3 questions that are a part of the application. And so what we could do is we can update this to reflect that the date is going to be Monday, the 18th of August, and that is when it is due. And so this information would need to be posted. We'll update all of this with the appropriate entities. And then this would need to be posted on the social media platforms and on the website so that folks know what they need to do to apply, I think. Right?
Daisy, the document also, that was the document you were referring to, right?
Yes, everything, I'm not sure what Daisy was trying to show the board. I've provided the board with the timeline, a possible press release, a sample question, sample application, criteria grid, and communication strategy.
All of those things here. So we'll just update those with the appropriate information and share is what I think. I don't think this is too difficult.
So,
Everything is linked on this document.
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, that's
And so the statement that's coming from us is that thing that we just saw, is none of this will be pushed out. The only thing that's being pushed out is that statement. Okay, no, there's multiple things that are being pushed out. Let's just make sure that all of these are, that all of us have reviewed it, that we don't need to ask questions about it later.
When I wrote this, Tim Warren's name is on that, so that'll have to be modified, but this was a draft press release.
Oops,
And
sorry.
this was regarding former Chair Tillinghast's resignation.
Yeah.
And that vacancy, so it'll have to be modified to reflect both vacancies.
Yeah, we can update this and amend this.
And are there gonna be concerns from you guys about Jen and Laura updating this? Or are you comfortable with pretty much anything that they write, condition, that it might go through a lawyer?
No, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
Pretty boilerplate?
Yeah.
there's already what we were gonna use, all we're doing is changing dates and intensity to this as well.
Cool.
I would not recommend spending legal fees on this. This is a process we've done. I have personally done this. I think it does design. So everything I've provided you with all the information.
I was just gonna count it up. Times.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
Right,
so it sounds like Jen, you and I can be.
great.
Yep.
And again,
So-
I'm happy to assist. While
Okay,
here.
thank you very much for that. Any other discussion on vacancy? Maybe I'll restate the bidding, so. Announcement via all possible channels as soon as possible with the date of August 18th as the deadline for applications. Warned for discussion on August 13th, but no action, just talking about it. And then on August 20th, actually holding the interviews for the people. All good with that? Great. All right, we can move on to the next discussion item, which is organization of school board work. The way that I would propose, talking about this, because obviously there is an enormous amount of stuff to be done. Would be for people to go around the room and say kind of their what's top of mind for them, top priority. And we did this exercise a few months ago. It was in a document called a RACI, which is an acronym that I can't remember what it means.
Responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed.
There you go. So I think that what we should use this discussion item to do is to remind each other of what priorities we have for the immediate future. And then going forward, we should start adding to the agenda things off of this list that we want to do. I don't think that we're going to be able to set any kind of deadlines or anything like that at this point, but it's a good time to just take a high level view of what we need to be working on in the next 6 months. I guess I'll volunteer to start because I put this put this question to all of you. I think negotiations, obviously with the loss of Tim, we need to refocus on that negotiation process. The budget, I'm looking forward to next week. There's a Toussaint briefing. Toussaint was a consulting firm, which I think superintendent very wisely engaged to help us modernize our budgeting process. And I would say for me, besides obviously finding a superintendent, those are the top two items, and other things have kind of I could mention other things, but I don't think they're as important. So again, for me, negotiations, budget, superintendent. So, or what other things?
Definitely we'll bring more student voice into our meetings, is really, really critical. Contract, definitely, contract negotiations and I think and budget. And I don't really know what the word is, but I've sat here for 3 years now, and I'm now the last one standing. And I do not feel good about this at all. So I'm hoping to find some peace in this process because I do feel so much alone. So, yeah, so that's those are pretty.
I would say filling the vacancy is very important. I know we talked about that, but I hadn't heard you mention it. That's sort of my focus is on, and also the budget season coming up is something I need a lot of information and education on. So I'm also looking forward to reading next week. And I know we spoke about, I think some constituents have reached out to us about the cell phone policy based on the state. So looking at that is something else I've been interested in working on.
Everything's already been mentioned.
Jen, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, so I have a few. I mean, I would definitely echo the idea of the budget and the work that Toussaint is doing. We had that opportunity to participate in a call. Dan and I were on the call yesterday with them, and it's really promising. So I'm really excited about that. And working with student reps, all fantastic. But, so some of the big things though that are on my mind, in addition to that, plus, negotiations, is community engagement, thinking about what we're doing with public participation and that new policy that we have forthcoming. I think is going to be really important to get buttoned up. and rolled out. And then also looking forward to community forums where we schedule those more informal dialogues where people can come and engage with the board, I think is going to be very important. And establishing some kind of routine schedule, whether we have committees, subcommittees in place that can do updates to newspaper and to media. So there's more information that's coming out. I think really dialing in that schedule so folks know what to expect is going to be critical. And then another big thing is the scorecard that we've talked about before, which I know the RACI is part of that responsible, accountable consultant forum, but creating some kind of scorecard that provides the visibility to, okay, these are all the monitoring reports that we've looked at, and this is, you know, where things are and how the district is doing with that. And I think we had talked about at 1.2 having a strategic implementation plan, an actual strategic plan, that there had been one, but I think it's dated 2007. And so when we look at other districts, I've seen some, and I think it's really helpful, again, just to give that bird's eye view as to what the strategy is for the district. So that kind of ties in with the scorecard and that strategic plan and where we're going there. So community engagement, scorecard, and then budget and negotiations and just continuing to work with the community.
I need to add one more thing, really very strong reaction tonight, to all this change. I'd also like to keep an eye on, there's education in this state is about to change quite drastically. I'm not convinced it's for the best. And we really do need to keep our eye on that. I definitely am communicating with the public because I don't think a lot of people know what's happening, but the committee is meeting to, it's a representatives and senators and Bill Scott appointed a couple people to rewrite the districts, and that will impact us quite heavily. We should stay in contact. We might even have some input into who we want to be put into a district with. So definitely contact your reps. And that's it. That's the thing.
So my proposal on this is that we are trying to amend our policies to allow for more public participation in meetings, and that's an active topic of discussion right now. I recognize it.
So just listen. I mean, like, you don't have to have a policy in place to listen. I just don't understand why your hair is not on fire, that we are weeks away from starting a school year with no
So I would
superintendent.
like, I
and
would
no-
like, well, yeah, I'll-
Point of order.
I think that, so I would like to allow you to continue to speak. I have to say it's out of order, but please, it's out of order, but you know, you have a right to speak.
That's all I really need to say. I don't understand why anything else is important right now, other than budget cuts that are gonna have to be made because of cuts that are being made at the federal level. And finding a superintendent to run the district. We are in a crisis, and all of this stuff about public engagement is great. All you have to do is listen. It can be messy, it can be disorganized. All you have to do is listen with open hearts to the community. And I feel like all this discussion about public engagement is actually, as you call it, putting the chilling effect on it because you're trying to put so many parameters around it. Just listen. School board meetings used to have a public comment section at the beginning about items not on the agenda, and then every single item, we would have board discussion, and then we would say, are there comments from the public on this? Or we would at least look at the room and see if hands were raised. I'm just astonished at where we are as a district. I'm panicked, and that's all I'll say.
Okay, point of order. No, we cannot be taking any more questions now. Okay, and we need to get through the agenda. Thank you.
One second, Jerry, one second. I, again, it's out of order, but please continue.
Used to have meetings where residents would come, board would be there, and people would talk back and forth. There was no henchman with an axe willing to chop off your head if you went over time. That's the way we move forward. We listen to each other. I just want to say, with regard to getting a superintendent, remember, as Laura said, there's a new education program coming down the road. This district may not exist because you're gonna have 4,000 to 8,000 students, we have 2,400. This may be one of the districts which disappears. So what person is gonna wanna become superintendent of this district if 2 or 3 years down the road, the district disappears? So your plan should be, how do we fill in this interim situation? I don't know what the answer is, but I don't think you're gonna get a superintendent in 30 days. That's just mind-boggling. So you need to just have a plan for how you're going to deal with an unfortunate situation and then make that plan work. I would really encourage you to have more openness in your communication with people. 3 minutes, it's just mind-boggling to me that you expect communication to work effectively if you limit residents' comments to 3 minutes.
So I think that, in terms of the discussion item that we are currently warned for, which is organization of school board work. I think that we have brought up a lot of topics. Obviously, we are operating at reduced capacity right now. And so my proposal on this is to, essentially wait until we are back at full strength. And then, form committees for the items, apart from negotiation, so that we can tackle these things. I don't think it would be appropriate to form committees right now, but, we should, form committees as soon as we are back at full strength. That would be my.
Right. And Seamus, can I just add one thing too? Just for a point of clarification, I think for folks to realize that, obviously having a replacement for a superintendent is critical. And I think that this is all new information for the folks on the board. This is not something that we've been looking for. This is not something that we were anticipating. And I think it's very unfortunate that we're at this position where we are. But I feel like we have an opportunity right now for the board to come back together and to go back and resurrect that RACI that we had started to put back in April, that we started to work on. And one of the things I'd like to add on to my list, also the punch list of things I'd like to achieve, is having more engagement with VSBA. I know that Emily and Laura and I participated in a fantastic training session, and we've been working I've participated in many VSBA sessions. It has been very enlightening to learn more about policy governance and how you review monitoring reports and how you respond to monitoring reports and all of that. And I feel that that's a really beneficial thing that the board could learn from by having engagement with VSBA as well. So I just want to put that out there. So that's on my list. And Seamus, I will commit to picking up what Tim had started and getting that recirculated to folks so that we can start filling in that RACI and developing a strategy.
Is there any more discussion on this point?
Who's gonna run it in the interim?
Sorry, I apologize. I have to recognize that is out of order.
Sure.
You asked. Yes.
I think Jen touched on this a little bit, but it was kind of surprising to me that no one really said anything about trying to be more transparent, unless I missed something. Because it seems like today and the past meetings that a lot of people have had issues with is that they don't really know what's going on. And I've been to pretty much every meeting in the past 2 months, I think, and there's something that I'm completely lost on myself. So I think as a board and as people who are serving the community, we need to find a way to be as transparent as legally possible. Because at the end of the day, if the community doesn't feel like they know what's going on and they don't understand what's happening fully, how can we serve them if we don't know what they want and they don't know what we're trying to do?
Very well said. Is there any other discussion on school board work? Obviously, it's only a first draft of. Thanks. All right, we'll move on to the next discussion item. The newspaper article draft.
Yes. So I have that. So I guess that was one of the questions, is that we had put together, I had put together a an article that is draft, but we would like to have the consensus of the board before this is something that is shared with the community. And so it was forwarded out to everyone, but I did not receive any comments back except for you, Seamus, because we're very sensitive to not wanting to violate open meeting law, that there would be any collaboration happening with this document. So with that, you know, my question is, do we read this article? Do we just take the feedback from board members right now and integrate that into it? Or how should we proceed?
So my suggestion is that the tenor of the room is not very conducive for, I would say, a creative editing session. I think that due to the constraints of the open meeting law, it's hard to write an article except in open meeting. But I would be. But that said, we have to communicate, so
We
I
have
think
to
we
communicate.
have to open this up, we have to edit it, because we're all here and this is our chance, so.
Share
just
away.
gotta-
You want me to do it? Am I sharing my
Yeah,
screen?
Let's go through this.
Okay. Hopefully you guys can see my screen again. Can you see my, wait a minute. Can you see it? And I will try to make this bigger here. Can you guys see this?
Is this on the topic that me and Moman would be allowed to be included on? Like forwarding this to the board before the meeting to look at it?
Yeah, so the practice that Jen was referring to is something that we took from the secretary. Was it the Secretary of State condos? He's the one who published the.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, do you mean the agenda? The agenda?
No, I'm asking if we would be okay to be. if
No, I
you have to
understood your
forward
question.
this
Yeah, yeah.
Or any other documents before.
There's a document published, I believe it's by the Secretary of State, although now I'm doubting whether it's him. Do you remember the what condos?
She's actually just asking, so these are in the meeting materials, if the board wanted to share, so this is something that's not provided with the meeting materials, but what they're asking is that if they could have access to this as non-voting members of the board. So Ally is wondering, could she and Momin have reviewed this prior to the meeting?
Correct, and what I'm trying to reference right now is the document on Vermont open meeting law. I'm just gonna look it up because it's a very well-known document.
My understanding is that it doesn't apply to non-voting student reps, but.
Right, yes, but the guidance for how to create documents is from the Agency Administration document. Forgive me, no, it's not this one. Sorry, I wanna give you the right answer here. Gym condos, yes. Guide.
So Seamus, I'm not seeing you on my screen. Are you looking something up right now?
Yes.
And
Oh, I found it. Okay, I found it. So in January 2019, the Secretary of State, James Condos, issued a document called A Guide to Open Meetings. And it lays out quite a few different things. One of them is how to think about articles like this. And so the practice that they recommend is collective editing of online documents. We recommend that a quorum of a public body should not participate in collectively editing a document outside of a duly warned public meeting. Collective editing may well fall within the bounds of a meeting when an exchange of ideas and opinions occurs out of the public view. So we cannot, so in our view, an acceptable alternative is to name a point person who collects and compiles each member's comments for later discussion at a duly warned meeting. So, for this article, the point person was Jen. Jen had the idea to write an article and she sent it out to people and said, send the comments back to me. I'm not going to share the comments with anybody else. And so I think in that context, the answer to your question is that Jen could have totally sent you a link to the document, and then you could have sent her comments.
Yep.
And then we could all collaboratively edit it here together in the duly warned meeting. So that's the,
That was more my question, if as non-voting members were allowed to. Like, I would appreciate if me and Mom were able to see this beforehand.
Oh,
and also get
100%.
our feedback.
and it's a public record anyway, because we made it as public. As board members, we made it, so it's gonna be public.
Okay. Is there anyone in the future documents like this again?
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
Here's a question though. So I've got two things to say. First one is a question, and that is, so would this document have been posted with the meeting materials in advance of this meeting as well? And I would imagine the answer to that probably would be yes, correct?
It doesn't have to be.
Okay. Okay, well, that was the first thing. But the other thing is, I want to say, this is the whole purpose of the RACI. So the RACI is a responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. And so what we would have there is, and Ally, hopefully this will help for you and Momin looking forward, is you would say like, all right, we're going to do newspaper articles. So who's going to be responsible for that? And accountable could be the chair, right? That you're going to be the one ultimately to send this off, Seamus, right? And then consulted and informed. So who's going to be consulted? And we would put like people's names into these appropriate boxes. So we could say that the student reps would be consulted, but I think having some kind of process like that so that people can see where they have the opportunity to plug in will be really helpful so that we aren't
Yeah.
kind of in
I
the
think
dark.
we should discuss how we want to ensure that we are producing enough newspaper articles at a future meeting. And I think that plays into what you're talking about around organizing efforts. So so as a group, let's read this. Let's determine if it's okay to publish and is it an official editorial from us. So we are now in a duly warned session, so we are allowed to collaboratively edit this document. So,
Okay, can you see my screen okay?
I would let everybody read it. I assume most people already have read it, but.
So we generally, we have a schedule. And then people sign up like on a Google Doc and you write it and we don't discuss the article. It's just printed.
I agree with that process. On the one hand, it failed to gather the necessary consensus. And it also was not happening. So when it did happen, it didn't get the consensus that was required to actually result in a board statement, and also it wasn't happening. So I think that this is not an ideal method of doing things because it involves the whole board for a significant period of time, but we are in a state where I believe we do need to urgently speak to the community. And so that's why I would encourage us to read this now.
Do you want to read it or do you want me to read it?
I think we should all silently read it, and then if anybody needs more time, we can,
Okay, well, you can only probably see part of my screen unless you guys all have it up in front of you. So just tell me when you want me to scroll down.
okay. And I do, Diana, Bugby, I do see that your hand is up in the meeting, and I'm sorry to say that under our current rules, which I've been asked to strictly enforce, I'm not allowed to call on you right now. If you were to speak, as others have done in this room, I would say you're out of order, but I don't, you know. I think we can unmute Diana.
I have a question here, Seamus, real quick before that, because the agenda, one of the things that we're looking at doing is amending the agenda format. And in there, that's what I thought you were talking about, that you will have like, this is an action, this is a discussion kind of item so that people know.
Yeah,
What is
Right
this?
now, I think Diane is asking is. Okay,
Is she gone?
gone.
She's gone.
Okay, yeah,
Oh, she's not gone.
yeah, okay, so, let's read this, let's get through it. Oh, she's still there.
She's back.
Diane, if you speak, I have to rule you out of order, but I'm not gonna stop you from speaking. She can
Thank
speak.
you. I'm sorry. I had an issue. I'm watching the meeting on my phone, so I'm having an issue. Um, I'm really stuck here, as a community member because our superintendent shared the news that she's resigning and her last day is next Friday. And I understand all of your work is important. The board has important work to engage in and follow a process, and articles are very important. I have not heard, and I know this is new to everybody that Superintendent Nichols has resigned. But don't we need to be engaging as a community and you talking as a board about succession planning? We need a leader for our district, and this is huge news, and that seems to take priority, in my humble opinion, over everything else right now. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
So, I think that another thing to keep in mind here is that this was obviously written without the knowledge that, we were gonna be needing a new superintendent, and so like, for example, what we might decide to do here is say, we need to go back to the drawing board. Jen, would you please draft something new, or whoever, would you please draft something new? We'll have to follow this kind of awkward, you know, process.
Okay, I have a comment here to make real quick. I mean, my concern is that, like I had said previously, this is news to us, that this decision just came through. The board has just decided tonight in our executive session to accept the superintendent's resignation and the date that was proposed, which was August the 1st. And so part of that reasoning is in trying to, go forward and to move forward in a healthy direction, right? And I think that concern of talking about things like succession planning. Now realize we're new. You've got largely a new board here. So I just want to say, let me finish. Please let me finish. What I just want to say is when it comes to things like discussion regarding succession planning or whatnot, I feel like we can get into trouble with that because of open meeting law or because of not warning an agenda properly. So it feels like this is something that would need to happen, but perhaps now is not the time to talk about that, right? Am I off? But I feel like in many ways, we're trying to do the right thing here to move forward and to think about how are we engaging the community, but yet there's the challenge that, well, you're in violation of open meeting law, or you're not doing this, or so I just want to be sensitive to that and be responsive to that, but also realize that we've got to be in a position where we're not tripping over our own feet unintentionally.
I think that it might be tone deaf to publish an editorial at this point where the first thing we say is, summer break is upon us, or I don't remember what the first line is. And so I think that we do need to start from scratch and,
And that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I can do that, but again, through the lens of this article was written last week and was forwarded out before we had any of this other information that came through. And so part of, so I think that's an important component here, right? Just to realize from a timing perspective. So people, we're talking about having grace. This is one of those moments. Public, have grace. We have just learned this information. This article was written. It is summer. All of us are on vacation or should be on vacation as well. And, we've been working tirelessly on a number of different items here. So I think that, looking at it through that lens is really very important.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the right thing to do here is probably, as much as we all dislike last minute meetings, I think we should probably plan on having yet another meeting to discuss what just happened with the superintendent, and also our communication to the public in the form of an official board statement. So I think what I would suggest here is that we agree that we need to write a new statement. Well, we need to write a new editorial that's gonna be sent out, and that we will discuss it at our next meeting.
Or maybe there's two, because there's information in this one that I still think is very relevant.
I remember from your earlier statement that the resignation date was submitted on July 17th, which was 5 days ago, so that would not have been at 5 p.m. today, that would have been 5 days ago. And a reminder as somebody who's a former board chair of this board and has gone through the open meeting law training, that special meetings are for special circumstances and not for regular board business. So I would encourage you to stick to the agenda that was already warned for the special meeting and the nature of this meeting, and keeping your regular board business to your next regularly scheduled meeting, which I believe was August 13th, if you're keeping track.
So does anybody have any objections, moving on to next discussion item? Shall we?
So Seamus, I mean, I hear the comment that it's tone deaf, but again, this article was written prior to
Oh, it's not
July
a criticism of
17th.
the article, I'm saying that now is effectively tone deaf.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, and you know what, but that is the ever evolving landscape that we are in, that hell is paved with good intentions, that you've set something out and expect something to happen, and we continue to, get sidetracked on things. So I would suggest, my recommendation would be to proceed with it, because in that article, which I didn't even get past the first paragraph, also included, welcoming, recognizing, acknowledging our student representatives, including Momen, and acknowledging the public participation policy that we're working on, that we've been working on, that we want to try to get out. Also acknowledging Chelsea and Tim and their service on the board and their resignations, and announcing that there will be applications that are going to be open or available for people if they would like to apply for the board. So I still think there's some very important details in there, and we need to move this forward and get it out. And then we could also prepare a separate, article if we'd like to do, or statement in regards to the superintendent resignation. But I just feel like we gotta finish something and get something complete.
Yeah, so I respectfully disagree, Jen. I think like we have a real situation here, and yes, welcome to Moment and Ally. I know I'm not saying that isn't important, but I do think that, I know I keep looking at this like it's a person. I do think a statement about the superintendent and what we're going to do is the most critical thing we can do right now. And I'm feeling a real sense of urgency and stress about this, and I think that's the most important thing. And, we can charge our board chair with writing a statement.
So I think in the context of the Warren discussion,
Right.
It's on the newspaper article draft.
Right.
I think that the sense of the room that I'm getting is that we are not going to come to an agreement. We're also not going to substantially rewrite this right now to reflect the current situation. So I think that what we need to do is we need to take a break on this. I think we need to, maybe we even wait to ask anybody to write a new article until we have written a board statement about the superintendent vacancy. And I think we should leave this discussion item and move on to the next one. Good. Any objection to that? Okay, all right. So discussion item, our final discussion item of the night is public participation policy. I'm very thankful that that is on the agenda, because it's been very frustrating to not be able to respond to anybody. I think our existing board policies are not conducive to public participation in meetings. And so, this will be the third time that we have discussed this in open session. We discussed it first on June 21st for about 22 minutes, and then we discussed it again for about 38 minutes. And so we're gonna spend some more time on it now. I will share my screen. It will take me a minute to do that. Or actually, I'm just gonna read this out loud, because I don't think that people can necessarily read it on the screen.
And can you clarify that you discussed with council some of the objections that people had that wasn't properly?
Yes, I think it would be, so. In addition to the text of this procedure, or the text of this policy. There have also been concerns about how it was warned. And I will just, preview that we are, getting a legal opinion on the, way that this was warned, the way that it was discussed. That legal opinion will probably also include, other opinions about the way that we, handled open meeting law. But, in particular, it will cover, the way that we have discussed this, policy in the past. So I think that's what you're referring to. So we do not have that opinion yet, but when we do, we'll make it public. So, this policy is based on a VSBA model policy. And the VSBA is the Vermont School Board Association, and what they do is keep track of state law, best practices, just, everything around what school boards should do, and then they produce model policies with different topics. This one is pulled from model policy A21, public participation in board meetings. And over the course of the last few discussions we've had of it, we've modified it to fit the district, in our opinion. So I will read this policy in its current draft form. This is the same one that was in the board materials for the last meeting. But just to be sure that everybody has heard this. And then after I read the text of it, I'll explain how it applies to situations like tonight. So, policy. It is the policy of the board to encourage public participation at its meetings. Background. The South Burlington School District Board of School Directors recognizes the importance of public input in fostering transparency, accountability, and community engagement. This policy establishes guidelines for public comment during board meetings, ensuring that community members have a structured and respectful opportunity to express their views on matters concerning the district. Implementation. Reasonable rules of participation may be used to ensure that meetings are conducted in an orderly fashion and that the business at hand is completed in a timely manner. Such rules may take into consideration such things as the length of each speaker's presentation and the number of times each speaker may comment. Persons who may address the board. Anyone may address the board. Public comment. Item 1. There will be time set aside for public input at every regular, special, or emergency meeting of the board. Item 2. When the number of people wishing to speak is large, the board may authorize the chair to use a speakers list. Members of the public will be given an opportunity to sign the speakers list, indicating which agenda item will be addressed. Item 3. Individuals wishing to speak are encouraged to sign up prior to the meeting's commencement. Sign-up sheets may be available at the meeting location and, when applicable, through online platforms. Item 4. Each speaker may be allotted up to 3 minutes to address the board. The board chair may adjust time limits to accommodate the number of speakers and ensure the meeting's timely progression. Item 5. Speakers are expected to maintain civility and respect. Next section, alternative submission methods. Individuals unable to provide their input during a meeting may submit written comments to the board via email or postal mail. That was item 1. Item 2, written comments received may be acknowledged and when appropriate, included in the public record. Appropriate topics. Item 1. The chair may warn or rule out of order any presentation to the board which breaches the privacy or rights of students, parents, or school employees, violates the grievance procedure of a contract with the district, or uses profanity. Item 2. Comments involving specific personnel or students should be directed through appropriate channels to maintain confidentiality and comply with privacy laws. Item 3. The board may publish and maintain a list of topics and the corresponding authorities so that the public is informed about the most efficient way to provide input. Item 4. The board may comment on a topic, Item 4. The public may comment on a topic even if the board is not the corresponding authority, but the board may refer the speaker to the corresponding authority. Next section, board interaction with the public. Number 1. Board meetings are public meetings, but not necessarily meetings with the public. Item 2. For the purposes of public participation, the board may designate meetings as public forums. Item 3. During public forums, the board may interact with the public on agenda items. Item 4. During all other meetings, the board generally will not interact with the public. Item 5. The board shall not discuss or interact with the public on items that are not on the agenda. Item 6. If a response is requested, the board or designee will provide a written reply within a reasonable time frame. Accessibility and accommodations. Item 1. The district is committed to ensuring accessibility for all individuals. Item 2. Requests for accommodations, including translation services or assistance for individuals with disabilities, should be directed to the superintendent's office at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. So that's the text. The way that would be applied in the current context is that this meeting would normally be run as it is today, where we're not responding to public comment, as painful as that is. However, we will warn meetings that are specially designated as forums, and then we would expect to not only receive public comment, but also respond, allow board members to respond and have a conversation in the course of the meeting. So that's a very large change from before. Would any board members like to comment on the current state of the policy? Are there any, as I read it out loud, are there any concerns that you have with it? All right. Well, yeah, sure.
During our meeting today, and we've heard previously, we've heard about past protocols in terms of speaking during different portions of the meeting. And I don't see anything about that in here, or
Right. So my understanding is that previous board chairs have allowed discussion on action items. So like if we were on an action item, ironically, public is not allowed to comment on discussion items, but they are allowed to comment on action items. Furthermore, the original VSBA model policy A21 suggested something similar. And so that said, essentially that the public could comment on items, on the agenda.
during the time we were talking about them, but not before.
I'll read the exact text that's in the model policy. So public comment, so this, I'm now switching over to A21, which is the original model policy. Public comment on agenda items. The chair will ask for comments on agenda items before action is taken by the board. So that would suggest that we would, before an action, before a vote, we would ask for comments. And then separately, it says, public input on items not on the agenda. And that's where we got the language. There will be time set aside for a public input on items not on the agenda at every regular, special, or emergency meeting of the board. And so the change that we made is that we said, there's, for every meeting, there's a public comment section, and you can talk about anything. You could talk about stuff on the agenda, stuff that's not on the agenda. That's at every meeting. However, at meetings that are not designated as public forums, we will not allow the public to interact with the board. However, so it's basically saying instead of every meeting, the public can interact on action items, it's saying some meetings are entirely dedicated to that interaction. And the belief, you know, is that we will have actually more content if we have dedicated meetings. We'll have more interaction, higher quality interaction, if we know that we do not have to get through a large amount of board business, but instead we're all sitting here for hours, for as long as the public wants, talking about things on the agenda.
Right.
Robert's rules makes it pretty clear that you do need to stick with the agenda. That is absolutely critical. And a meeting that has been warned for 2 hours should not go on for 6. And that is part of Robert's rules. It's very clear. And, you know, I've been the butt of, you know, jokes or whatever from the public and people on this board about being a timekeeper. Well, that's how most people do it. That's how you keep a meeting. And I'm a teacher. I go to a lot of meetings that we start every single meeting with, okay, so, you know, Mom, you're gonna be the timekeeper. Emma, you're gonna be timekeeper. And we have to get through agenda items. This is, I'm also not making this up. This is Robert's rules, because part of like building trust is you stay on the agenda. You do what you say you're gonna do.
Right.
So for now, it's 8 o'clock and we should have it done at 7:10. That to me does not inspire confidence. And again, everybody has a right to speak. So, you know,
Jen, did you have something to say?
No, I appreciate what Laura just said, and I think she's exactly right. And I also think, though, that the making some revisions to the agenda and providing some clarity around that, like when, you know, what happens at what phase. I still get confused over it, quite honestly. It's like, all right, you know, at the discussion, people have the opportunity to comment, or it's the action. So, I mean, having it on the agenda and breaking out what is what at which place, the template that I had shared, I mean, I think something like that might be a good place to start.
So to clarify what you're saying, Jen, the suggestion would be to further enhance the agenda template itself so that it will say, here is where you can say something, here is something you can have a
we
discussion
do have a
about.
handout. We work with Mike McKinney, who has called me and I think has watched a couple of these meetings and asked if he should come back. And he has said they do a handout. They do one, that's how they run their board meetings at City Market. And it's very clear. You come in, I think the way they do it, you come in, you sign up. And the chair determines when people can speak. And then, you know, people are invited to stay, but they may not be able to speak. And I think a really important thing that he said is some people aren't gonna like it.
Right.
And that, you know, but that's, if you watch MNU, if you watch Burlington, if you watch Essex Westford, that is how they run their meetings. So I understand that historically, maybe we haven't done that here in South Burlington. But
Yeah, I think what I would say about the problem that we have right now is that previous boards did not set clear guidelines. There was no policy for how to run public participation. And so, you know, I think the result is evident in the dissatisfaction, even in this room. You know, if you don't have a set of rules, then, you know, that's why we wanted to adopt their policies.
So I
because you
think
need rules.
the confusing part is number 2 of these guidelines, which says, as you were saying, comments should not be related to the agenda items, but can be made during the discussion of the agenda item. So
Right.
that's where the
Yeah.
confusion is, and how would the new public comment,
Right.
how would that be addressed in this?
Right, right now, the only rules for public comment and participation are these 7 bullet points at the beginning of our meeting agenda, and they are clearly inadequate.
Right. And I think too, that was part of the reason we wanted the community forums. If people feel like they need more avenues to speak to the board, that would be the opportunity to do so. Right?
And without the pressure of the board, the rest of the board's normal business agenda, but instead in a context where the board is present in quorum, it's a serious meeting. And we're not trying to get through public comments so that we can move on to other things, but instead, that's the purpose of the meeting. So that's the spirit.
And I will say one last thing. I mean, now being on the board, I appreciate exactly what Laura's saying and recognizing that we've got to stick to a schedule. And we also have student representatives on the board that it's not fair for them to be here at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night when, you know, it should only be an hour. So that has been some of the feedback that I've heard, is that it's very dysfunctional meetings, that you know, there's opportunity to speak and then someone calls in and then we're taking that conversation and then it just keeps going and going. And then you have these long running meetings. And so we have to have other channels for people to provide their comment and their opportunity to discuss and have their voices be heard, but not at the risk of commandeering a meeting. And then we don't get through the things that we need to get through. So I think it's
Yeah,
great.
I understand. I just think we heard tonight from constituents that there's unhappiness with how the communication is going currently, and that we need to figure out a way.
Yes, I would love to not rule people out of order. That is
Well,
very inappropriate. It's a very inappropriate thing for a school board to do when the purpose is to build transparency. It's a silly restriction. I'm following it because that's what I was told to do. But I think the other thing that we are including in this public participation policy is it's kind of buried in the language here, but it says basically that the board may publish and maintain a list of topics and corresponding authorities so that the public is informed about the most efficient way to provide input. And the purpose of that is that if the public has a comment about curriculum, the board is very unlikely to change curriculum. That's not our job, right? That needs to go to, I believe it's the building principals, right? So, okay, there you go. In a previous meeting, there was a comment that it had to go to the building principals. So we need to have a table that says if you have questions about curriculum, here's where to start. If you have questions about staffing, budgeting, you know, the website, all these things, because what's been happening, even in my short time on the board, has been, meetings have been scheduled, for example, at the high school. People have gone to the high school, they've been told, well, this isn't a board meeting. People go to the board meeting, they're told, well, this is not an appropriate topic for a board meeting. And it's kind of like a rope-a-dope. And so, and it actually goes back to treatment of community, which was the first thing that we ever monitored. And my vote on treatment of community was not in compliance for the simple reason that we did not publish to the community a simple explanation of how to get answers about different topics. And so I think that we need to publish that. And I think that that will mean less frustration. That will mean less coming to the public comment, saying something and being told, well, sorry, wrong forum. Does anybody else have comments on public participation? All right, at this point, I would entertain a motion to adjourn meeting.
I'm not to adjourn.
Well, before you do, Seamus, I'm sorry, just one quick question. So where does it stand on this? What more do we need to do with that public participation policy?
So-
Where does it stand now?
We are waiting for a legal opinion about, whether we have violated open meeting law in this and other respects.
Okay. And then
Um,
pending the results of that, it will either be adopted or we will warn it and have it on the agenda. Is that right?
certainly have to be warned again.
Okay,
And the question is whether it will be the second reading, the first reading,
okay,
or the fifth reading.
that's fine.
But we will learn that soon from the lawyers. So I would, again, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Simple.
Any discussion?
When is our next meeting?
August 13th,
Okay,
unless we decide to schedule another, special meeting.
okay.
All right. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Okay.
All right.